The mind which is free from passions is a citadel. Marcus Aurelius said that in the middle of an empire built on war, betrayal, loss, and power. Rome did not become great because its world was stable. It became great because some of its people learned how to stay unshaken inside instability. While kingdoms cracked, loyalty shifted, and history burned around them, they trained the mind to stand like stone. And maybe that is what feels so distant now. Because today, the modern mind can be unsettled by what Rome would have considered almost nothing: a bruise to pride, a shift in tone, a moment of social discomfort. So, what did the Romans understand about the mind that we seem to have lost? To understand that, you first have to understand the world they were living in. Rome was not a world built for softness. It was shaped by war, political pressure, public judgment, and the constant possibility of loss. Even under Marcus Aurelius, the empire faced invasion, revolt, and plague. Stability was never something Romans could simply assume. And that is exactly why mental strength mattered so much there. In a world where power could shift overnight and dignity could be tested in public, inner control was not a luxury. It was survival. The Roman ideal was never to escape hardship. It was to remain steady inside it, to lose comfort, status, certainty, and still not lose command of the self. But that raises a deeper question. What exactly were they protecting inside themselves? The Romans understood something modern neuroscience would explain centuries later. The mind is not a passive mirror. It is an empire of its own, always scanning, always predicting, always deciding what matters before you even know a decision has been made. Inside your brain, there is something like an inner Rome. One part watches the horizon for danger. One part stores old battles, old wounds, old humiliations. And one part tries to govern the whole system. So, when something happens in the outside world, your mind does not receive it as a blank fact. It receives it like a signal entering a guarded empire. That is why a small moment can feel so large. The brain is not only asking, "What happened?" It is also asking, "Have I seen this before? Does this threaten my safety, my status, my control?" That is the hidden psychology behind suffering. The event is one thing, but the mind does not leave the event alone. It surrounds it with memory, prediction, pride, fear, and meaning. The outer world strikes once. The inner empire echoes it 100 times. That is why Roman discipline began inside interpretation. If a man cannot govern what happens within, he will be ruled by everything that happens without. The strongest Romans were not people who felt nothing. They were people who learned to slow that internal chain of command, to look at the signal before declaring an emergency. And once you see that, the next question becomes obvious. How do they keep that inner authority? So, what was the Roman method for keeping inner power? In simple terms, they refused to let the outside world become the ruler of the inside one. That was the whole discipline. Insults, presciency, public command, them, but they were not allowed to take command. The moment your inner state is decided by other people, you are no longer standing in power. You are being governed. So their real strength was not in controlling the world around them. It was in refusing to surrender authority over themselves. And that is exactly where the lesson turns back to us. Your life may look nothing like theirs. No empire, no senate, no battlefield, but the struggle is still the same. Every day, something in the outside world tries to enter your mind and take command of it. A tone, a rejection, a delay, a humiliation. And the question is still, Ramon, will this thing disturb me, or will I refuse to let it rule me? Because inner power is not about feeling nothing. It is about remaining your own, even under pressure. That was their greatness. And it may be the strength we need most now. The strongest fortress you will ever build is the one inside your own mind.